I am everything that Donald Trump hates. I'm a black woman, I'm gay, I am a mom. Both my parents were born in Haiti, and they came here for the American dream. One of the things that I think that's really important is lifting up the voices of our members, of the people who feel very vulnerable, especially under this Trump administration. Folks who feel like they're voiceless, folks who feel like, hey, you know, I'm under attack every day and I just don't know what to do. I want them to turn on the TV and say, okay, she's speaking for me. My voice is being lifted. I definitely have had moments under this administration, whether it was election night, whether it was inauguration night, whether it was the Muslim ban, you know, all these things that have happened where you think to yourself, wow, some awful stuff is happening.
I think Donald Trump doesn't really care about the country or people. He only cares about himself. All he sees are wins or loses for him.
Now, in my opinion, they should come to me on infrastructure. They should come to me, which they have come to me on DACA. We are working. We're trying to do something about it. And they should definitely come to me on health care, because we can do bipartisan health care, we can do bipartisan infrastructure, and we can do bipartisan DACA.
Well, first of all, in healthcare, he doesn't care about healthcare. He only cares about taking healthcare away from tens of millions of people. We saw that this just a couple of months ago, just a couple of weeks ago. So that's a lie. With DACA and also CHIP, we cannot play with people's lives here, with children's lives. This is something that needs to happen. We can't let time continue to go on in January without figuring out how we're going to have a clean DREAM Act without a wall that's put into it and get that done. And also reauthorize CHIP. I mean, that is something that Democrats have to use every tool in their tool belt to make that happen. We can't play around with that, and it's just I think it's just insane that we still haven't done any of those things, and young people are trying to figure out what they're going to do next, and then you have parents who are dealing with their children's illness.
Whether you were born here or you immigrated, we can all agree on one thing: most Americans work too damn hard and deserve bigger paychecks. The media reports on white workers and immigrant workers like mortal enemies locked in the combat sport of progress, but they literally work side by side every day. The working class is actually the most diverse slice of society, especially labor unions like SEIU. I immigrated to America when I was just a kid. When I moved here, I didn't speak any English, but I grinded every day and eventually got myself a job in the White House. What's crazy is that under Trump's new immigration plan, I wouldn't have even qualified to enter America without like an Olympic gold medal. We can work together and we can make the rules. Democrats can't just praise diversity. We need to use our diverse excellence to make life livable. When we win, we've got to bring power to the people.
My parents moved here like many other immigrants that come to this country looking for the American dream, to have a better life for themselves and for their children. But like many other immigrants, my parents are also American patriots. After moving here to New York, my parents insisted that we all go to DC because they believed in this country's liberty, democracy, and its potential. They believed in the Constitution and what it stands for. And we spent our last few hours in front of the White House. That's me in the little dark jacket there. And it was almost as if I was learning about foreshadowing before I knew what foreshadowing was all about. Because fast forward to 2009, after the President Obama's inauguration, and I was getting ready to join the new administration, my cousin, who was there with us, gave me that photo. And he said to me, I want you to remember this photo and to remember this moment. Every time you walk into the White House, I want you to remember that you are accomplishing, living the dream of your parents. That how important this moment is. That you were a young girl who didn't speak any English, who was awed by the White House, and now you're making history with the first black president. We know that Donald Trump revels in authoritarianism. We know Trump wants to shed the rule of law. We know Trump ignores ethical norms. We know Trump abuses his power.
We know Trump wants to eliminate the civil liberties of targeted communities. And don't take my word for it, just look at his actions. Muslim ban, his first important initiative, targeting Muslim communities or targeting Muslims so that they couldn't enter the country. Thank goodness the lower courts decided to block them. He impulsively launched 59 missiles into Syria after a chemical attack without any congressional authorization. And he did it largely on emotional reaction by watching Fox News. That's how someone who's supposed to be president of the United States decided to make this decision. North Korea. They've been baiting him, and because they've been doing that, they've been successful in Trump increasing a series of military deployments, which Trump has said himself that this could end a major conflict. This should sound familiar. There's war in the air. Now, what does this tell us about how Trump responds to threats? How does he react to a crisis? Trump reacts with force, Trump abuses power, Trump does it with a rejection of past norms, with a disregard for the Constitution and the rule of law. What this could mean for vulnerable communities. Perhaps immigrants, like my parents, like myself, being targeted by vigilantes in the wake of an attack, stigmatized because of their religion or the color of their skin. We have to consider the worst case scenario. We have to prepare for a situation where a predictable emergency is used to suspend civil liberties, deport targeted populations, launch warrantless searches of private homes, declare martial law, imagine entire communities rounded up. But guess what? That's happening already. So it's time we start putting pieces in place to prepare for a predictable emergency. We need to recruit rapid response mobilizers who will be ready to react immediately in a crisis, expanding beyond the large cities that have been the epicenter of the resistance to date. But our coalition must grow to be successful. We need all of your help, all of you and all of your networks as well. Because here's what we know. A predictable emergency is coming. I know from my time in the White House that every administration gets tested. We know Trump's reaction will trade off on fear and demagoguery. Knowing that all of this is coming only expands our responsibility. We must be prepared. We must stand up. Help us send a message to the rest of the country and the world that we stand ready to defend those same values and beliefs that brought my parents and so many Americans to this country in the first place. Let us define our patriotism anew. I'm Karine Jean-Pierre. Thank you for joining the fight.